Welcome in, Buff Nation, to another edition of Shoulder to Shoulder Colorado live on the Voice of College Football Network. I am your host, Miles. No Manny today, just me here by myself on this beautiful Friday. Let me make sure. They're telling me that there's been some issues with. Can y'all hear me? What is going on? I'm so confused. It's telling me that I can't even. Okay. Oh, what? All right. Hold on. Myself again. Okay. Geez. Sorry about that. I tried to play the intro and it popped up on my screen and was it was like your browser failed to play the video and the whole screen was black. So cool. Awesome. Let me start over. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome in, Buff Nation, to another edition of Shoulder. You can see how red I'm getting from being embarrassed. To another edition of Shoulder to Shoulder Colorado Live on the Voice of Colorado Football Network. Okay, I am your host, Miles. Appreciate you guys tuning in with me on this beautiful Friday. Make sure that you follow either myself at Miles High Buffs or Manny, who's not here today, at Manny_303. Appreciate you guys being here on this beautiful Friday. Make sure you follow our channel at Colorado VOCFB. Let me know where you're tuning in from today. Let me know what your weekend plans are. Again, just me today. Manny has some personal world life things going on. You know, this is Colorado football is not the end all be all. So he's got things. So you're just going to have me today to talk about all the fun stuff that has been going on in college football and in Colorado more specifically. As always, if you're not catching the show live, you can catch it today afterwards on Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, Amazon, Believe, really anywhere you can find podcasts. We're on most all of those platforms. And as a reminder, we do have memberships available. Last week, we did get our first super chat. Shout out Ben's Been Dead. Gave us our first super chat ever, which was great. We also had a couple of others that came in. So if you want to make sure that your comment gets read, go ahead and throw us a super chat. It's just me today, so I put the chat up on the screen. I want to make sure you guys are involved. I want to hear your thoughts. I want to make sure that we have as much engagement as possible to talk about Colorado football and some of the changes that have been happening. And then lastly, always be sure to check out the Colorado VOCFB store if you want to feel inclined to support the show and just make sure that it's that we're repping the brand. You know, if you guys really love Colorado VOCFB. Cool. Appreciate you guys being here again. As always, happy Friday. I want to jump right in. We got a lot to talk about. I got a lot of cool things for you guys today. Obviously, a lot of big things have been happening in the Colorado football world. But again, as always, let me know where you're watching from today. I always like to see where the chat's coming in from while they're engaging with the channel. First things first, let's talk about some cool things. I know I'm going to bury the lead a little bit. I'm going to make sure that we get all of our topics covered here. But I wanted to share, something that I saw online that was super cool. Again, going back to the just what's been going on with Colorado and the cool things happening in and around the program, right? So this came out. This is Osegun's Ducktail. Great follow on X. LeJohntay Wester, right? A great former Buff, absolute incredible member of the Buffs community, coming back, going into the indoor practice field, and running routes with Cam Perry, and which is actually funny. I don't know why I didn't realize this, but I didn't realize his name was Cameron. I just thought it was Cam for some reason. With Cam Perry and Danny Scudero. If you see these routes, these guys are absolute route technicians. So really great to see LeJohntay back in the fold. This is one of those things that I think that we really need to make sure that we are emphasizing throughout the remainder of the Coach Prime era and into the next era beyond that is just getting former Buffs in the IPF, indoor practice field. Yeah. Helping to support the new guys, making them feel welcome, making it feel like a community. And it's not just kind of like the thing we always talk about, I guess, with the transfer portal is this like 1 year rental idea. We only had LeJohntay for a single year, but he's really embraced Colorado as his home. And so just making sure that, we have these guys that show that even if you are just here for a year, you can still be considered a Buff, at the next level and just in your career as a whole. So super cool to see that. Grateful for LeJohntay. He's done a lot of cool things, making sure that he's representing the Colorado community well. Cool. I'm so glad. For those of you who missed it, I had a whole panic attack there because the screen went black when I tried to do the intro video, and then I didn't really know what was happening. So I'm glad we got it figured out now. I'm going to stick with LeJohntay for a minute because he's doing a lot of cool things. And again, keeping it just lighthearted here before we get into some of the more complex stuff that's going on. But in particular, this is another cool one. LeJohntay, while in the IPF, talking up some ball with Juju, talking about how to, really dissect your receivers, understanding their steps, their speed, their body language. I feel like a lot of times people look at the last couple of years of Colorado football, and they often think of receivers are only as good as their quarterbacks. But a lot of times people forget that receivers need to be able to communicate with their quarterbacks about what they want, where they want the ball. They need to make sure that they understand how to communicate to their quarterback, like in the right way to get the ball to them. So it's a dual relationship, right? Like, so LeJohntay is making sure. There was obviously some talk earlier in the year last season about Juju having that leadership voice and really, stepping up and communicating within the huddles and stuff like that. And he's done a great job of really developing, going into his second season here. But LeJohntay making sure that he emphasizes that to Juju, no matter the level, it's still business. You're getting paid. You got to make the plays. And right there at the bottom, that number 10 in Colorado, that it comes with standards. And so great to see LeJohntay instilling this wisdom amongst the young guys and really just showing him what it means to have that strong relationship with his receiving core. So really great to see. Appreciative of LeJohntay. I'm really hoping he gets that good opportunity with Baltimore this upcoming season, not just on special teams. He's obviously great on special teams, but we want more for LeJohntay, don't we? All right, let's switch gears a little bit to something I saw and something I just wanted to acknowledge it because I think it's obviously relevant, and I want to make sure that I cover it because it could be something that becomes a topic in the future. This came in from, if it's going to load, let's see. Hold on. It's going to load. It's not going to load. This is so fun. I'm still figuring this stuff out, guys. You got to work with me here. I got to figure out how this stuff works because I've never done these things before. We had basically the point I'm trying to get to is that there was some speculation that came out that Josiah Manu, one of our, hold on. There we go. Nice. We're doing screenshots now because I identified over the last couple of episodes that the screen share was really hard because you couldn't see what was at the top of the screen because of that part up there. It says S2S Colorado Live. So we're doing screenshots now because it's much easier for you guys to see. So Kai, I have been flavor, fan of the show, or not fan of the show, friend of the show. I don't know if they're a fan. I hope so. That offensive tackle 3-star Josiah Manu has been switched to play D-line. This is definitely not like official for the record. This was like speculation. He was a part of some of the defensive line room meetings as part of spring ball. Again, spring ball is very, very, I don't know what the right word here is, but like, don't take a lot of stock in it, right? Like you could be, I think it is, there was kind of, sorry, I'm jumping around here, but like, when there was some discussion about Tyler Brown playing defensive line a couple of years ago, and I think there is some value in understanding, like corners should understand how receivers move, and receivers should understand how corners move. The same way the offensive line should understand how the defensive line moves, and the defensive line should understand how the offensive line moves. So I don't necessarily think this is like you're not going to see Josiah Manu playing offensive tackle for the Buffs, but I also think it's not a bad idea for them to give him as much training and knowledge as he can about what players at this level are getting training on and how they, are expected to attack their competition in college. And as Newbreed says here, the offensive line has a lot of depth. I mentioned this when we were talking about it with Dukes last week, that it feels like they brought in a lot of guys that they have a plan for. And, there's Xavier Payne, there's Josiah Manu, there's a couple other guys that have been brought in over the last couple of years. And there's obviously the older guys that came in through the transfer portal. So in one way or another, if there's a way for guys to get on the field early, I'm not opposed to it. And it's not necessarily like we don't know whether or not Josiah Manu could play offensive line. He could play defensive line. Things change a lot. But I just wanted to bring it up because I think it was an interesting point. I think it was just something that I saw that I thought was kind of like, oh, wow, that's, that's something that is a little bit interesting there. Let's talk about somebody we just talked about a little bit. Is I just want to show this because he tweeted it out. And anytime he does tweet it out, I'm gonna wait until it loads this time. But a QB1, right? Julian Lewis. There was a lot of speculation after and around the Jordan Seaton stuff, that he would think about leaving or anything of that nature. But I want to go out and dispel the rumors all right now. Hey, even the screenshot's a little bit big. I gotta make more horizontal screenshots. He just says right here, he got a little bit of a taste last season. He wants more, and he's blessed to be a Buff, which is just so exciting to see. I think it's like really underrated how important it is to have some level of a organizational cornerstone, right? Like there's so much fluctuation in college sports. There's so much fluctuation with rosters. And having a guy that's young that can lead your program and really like drive you into that next generation, right? Yes, it was really a major deal for Coach Prime to be here and to be coaching the Buffs. You could probably make the argument that having Shedeur as a quarterback was arguably just as valuable for the actual talent that they brought in, right? So I think having somebody like Juju be so locked in and tied to the program, and one of the things that we'll get into here shortly, I'm going to share the next image. I'm going to get it loaded up. I'm going to get it preloaded up. Is watching Juju recruit on social media. Okay, see, now that one loaded immediately. What is going on here? You can't even see it. I'm still learning here, guys. At the bottom of this screenshot, there's a part where Julian is essentially putting a Buff emoji. And so he's going out. This is a high school recruit. He is recruiting guys into Colorado. This is Sakura Cooper Jr., one of the top 2029 receivers in the country. And we've got Juju out there commenting under his videos, putting the Buffs emoji. And I just think it's really great. I think it's super exciting to see him, trying to bring in weapons for himself and for the team for the future. And it's like 2029 kid, right? It's like, feels like forever from now, but it's interesting. People always think Juju's going to be like a 3-star or a 3-year kid, but who knows? Maybe he'll stay all 4 years. I guess he does have the redshirt year now. So either way, we'll figure that out. Figure that out when the time comes. All right. let's move on to some bigger news. Let's talk about it. And for everyone that's here, please let me know your thoughts in the comments on the things that have been going on and some of the stuff that we're about to discuss, because I want to hear from you guys. It's really important for our show and just for the Colorado community at large to talk a little bit, to be open and honest with each other, right? So a couple of weeks ago, we found out that Domata Peko, Buffs defensive line coach, was moving on to go to the Steelers in the NFL. That in and of itself, I just want to acknowledge, and I want to say this because I think it's really important. From the day that Coach Prime was announced as leaving Jackson State, he said, "You either elevated or you're terminated." Coaches leaving is obviously not ideal. Like, you don't love the lack of continuity, and that's a whole nother element that you can make an argument about. However, coaches leaving to go to the next level is a good thing for the program, because it shows that you have guys. We talked about this when Livingston was being floated around as part of the Cowboys hunt a couple of weeks ago, is having guys that people want at the next level is a good thing. It's not and we probably all saw it if you saw my tweet response about the college football transfer portal account that was throwing out engagement bait around, Coach Prime's done a terrible job retaining his staff. So like now it's about he's bad at retaining. You guys wanted the whole staff fired 4 months ago, and now it's that he can't retain them. Like that's a whole nother side thing. But my point being, when coaches get elevated to another level, right? Like Charles Kelly gets elevated to go become a head coach. Sean Lewis gets elevated to go be a head coach. Not going to talk about Pat Shurmur. Whole different. I think that's a whole different thing. But Coach Livingston elevated to go to the next level, to go back to the level that I guess he started from, but is getting an opportunity to go back and be a defensive pass game coordinator. I'm pretty sure is the exact title. That's a good thing for the program, because it shows that you have guys on your staff that are capable of coaching guys and in that level and are wanted by teams at that level. So it's a good thing. Let's talk about Coach Dante Carter specifically. So Coach Pun, I don't know where that comes from, is getting a promotion to the defensive line coach. I saw mixed reviews about this. The same way I saw mixed reviews around Coach Livingston getting hired in the first place. And the same way, this reminds me a lot of the offensive line coach, right? Of Coach Gunner. When Coach Gunner got promoted, I'm just going to be completely honest, I would say a solid 75% of the fan base was like, why did they do this? He's unexperienced. He's inexperienced. Why are we promoting someone who has never led an offensive line room before, right? I'm gonna put my foot down on this and just say we got to trust in Coach Prime's evaluations of internal talent at a certain point. I think he takes chances on guys externally that he has done research on and has heard good things about. But when Coach Prime trusts somebody and believes in them, he wants to give them an opportunity, which I think is so admirable, because he could go out there and just try to go bring in a big name or something of that nature. But he believes in Coach Dante Carter, and Dante Carter has led a defensive line room before. I think I have that one. Let me see if I grabbed it somewhere in here. Might not have screenshotted it. I have the Coach Marv one, which we'll get to. But he was influential at a lower level. It was one of the Texas programs in leading them to the most sacks that they had in a single season in program history. Again, lower level, different thing. But a lot of people were concerned when Coach Gunner came in that he didn't have the experience. And a lot of people were saying some more things around this. And I just want everybody to pump the brakes. Like, trust in what Coach Prime has for a vision for this program, and trust that the people that he's elevating are ready for that next step. Because if you looked at it, the offensive line was arguably one of the best and most consistent position groups last season. And that's a lot of credit to Coach Gunner. Yes, there's a trio of offensive line coaches that make up that room at this point, but Coach Carter has been active on the recruiting trail. He's got incredible relationships. I have seen him in person when I volunteered for their camps a couple of years ago. Having really good relationships with players. He is a people's coach, similar to Coach Livingston in that regard, like really connects with his players super well. And words only mean so much if you don't believe in the vision that your coach puts forward for you. And so if this is somebody that Coach Prime believes can instill passion and drive in his room, the same way Coach Gunner found a way to do that with the offensive line room, who am I? Like, we are all quarterback coaches here, right? Or sorry, no, couch quarterback or quarterback. What is the term? Like when you're like armchair quarterbacks. That's what I'm looking for. Backseat drivers, whatever. And as Newbreed says here, right? So he teaches technique. He knows college ball. He's coached 77 players in the NFL in his career that are in the NFL currently or have been in the NFL. I did have that stat somewhere, but I must have lost my screenshot. Either way, trust in this process, right? Trust that Coach Carter is going to lead his room to be able to elevate. To be honest with you, like the defensive line was not that solid last season. And I think that, again, like there were people that were coming for Coach Prime's neck, saying that he was not doing a good enough job with his evaluations of his coordinators. And so now he's making changes like everybody asked, and people are now like questioning his judgment. You either want the man to make the changes and you're going to trust in the vision that he has, or we shouldn't have him as head coach. Like that's the straight and narrow is like, if that's what we want and we want him to make the changes that he thinks is right and that he believes in, and we trust him to be the head coach, then we should all be supporting Coach Carter in the way that we support Coach Gunner at this point. I digress. Block Bully tweeted that he would have been a lot better under Coach Carter. I didn't see that. Very possible. And like they said, getting coaches ready, and now it's time for them to show off this defensive line has worked with a lot of NFL guys. People don't know that many former players also coach defensive line. Says Carter. Yeah, he's has a lot of experience in terms of coaching a defensive line room and building relationships with players. So I'm going to go out and say that I'm going to trust Coach Prime with this hire. And I like promoting internally. I like keeping that in-house and giving guys opportunities to elevate themselves to the next level. Cool. Awesome. I'm going to take a quick step back, 23 minutes in, say thank you again for being here. Happy Friday. I didn't see not nearly enough people telling me where they're, watching in from today. Let me know where you're tapping in from. If you're Colorado, I don't know if it's still snowing in the East Coast, but like if you're trapped in by a snowstorm, let me know. If you're overseas, let me know. I just want to know. Let's screen share here. For those of you who haven't been to Colorado, I want to share this funny little video. Coach Prime, very first time in the C4C dining hall. So the C4C, the Center for Community, I'm pretty sure is what they refer to it as, is an integral part of the Colorado Boulder campus. It's where it is like dead center in the middle of the campus. So if you're going from one side to the other, you need a quick bite to eat. It is like the place to stop in, place to go. You get the meal swipes. It's beautiful, all that fun stuff. I'm frankly like a little bit surprised that this is his first time ever going to the C4C. And frankly, for those of you in the chat that are Boulder alumni, a little hit or miss. You can get some good stuff at the C4C and you can get some not so great stuff. I also just think it's cool that he's like getting out into the community. And again, like having been gone a majority of last off season, seeing him just like being around and just walking around the campus and like seeing the things that he's as a coach hadn't had the opportunity to sit down and take a look at. I think it's really cool. And for the students that are there, like it's such an incredible opportunity to just run into somebody that you admire or are in awe by, right? So good on Coach Prime for just kind of getting out there and that pasta spot right there. They actually had really good chicken Alfredo for many years. I just wanted to share it because I like seeing Coach Prime out in the community and making an impact on campus, getting the students engaged. I think that's really cool. Good stuff there. All right. Let's shout out a quick announcement. I mean, not really an announcement, but let's shout out a quick, really cool thing here. Q for 6, Quentin Gibson getting his Special Teams Player of the Year award. We can talk all we want about why Quentin Gibson had so many return yards, but regardless, any hardware that comes back to Boulder is a good thing. And shout out Q for 6. Curious to you guys, let me know in the chat, right? Like he gets this award. He's obviously very talented in the return game. What do you guys think? Do you think that he's going to be a shoo-in for being the primary return threat next season? I think you obviously have to give him the first crack at it, but Quanell was an incredible return specialist in high school. He had 4 return touchdowns in a single game, I remember. And they got guys like Boo Carter. Boo Carter is an exceptional return guy. You've got some other athletes out there that, I wouldn't put it past Kalen Taylor for being like really good back there. I don't know if he has any experience with it. Put Ernest Campbell back there. I don't know. Like, let me know your thoughts on whether or not Q for 6 deserves to get that immediate, checkbox for being kick returner and punt returner, or if you would break it up some other way. Newbury says Q should snap on special teams this year. Absolutely. Good job, Q. Congrats. Absolutely. Shout out Q. And it's that's a cool trophy. I'm not going to lie. It's a pretty cool trophy for he said, I believe he'll do kickoff, but I also believe that Boo Carter will do punt return. See, now that could be it. You could just break it up that way and like let him do kickoffs and break it up with somebody else doing punt returns. 100%. I think we just got to. I haven't seen any announcements about special teams coordinations or special teams coordinators. A special team coordinator. That's what I'm trying to say. So we'll see how the biggest part is like he can't really do his job all that well if we're not a good special teams unit. So let's hope that special teams has their stuff together and he can get a couple of he can crib a couple of them. All right. Half an hour in, let's get to the meat and potatoes here, right? So let's talk about the elephant in the room. Let's talk about the big one, which is unfortunately announced kind of quietly. I mean, like obviously Neely has his show and everything, just kind of like drops this big exclusive breaking news that Coach Prime is losing his defensive coordinator in Robert Livingston to the NFL. And that Chris Marv recently acquired as what was supposed to be our linebackers coach is now the new defensive coordinator for the Colorado Buffaloes. I tried to think about this a lot, right? So again, congrats to Coach Livingston. It is a good thing that he's going to be able to get that elevation. I know he has a relationship with Vance Joseph, if I remember correctly. And that he's getting an opportunity to go back to the NFL where he really thrived and he has a lot of really significant relationships. And as a pseudo Broncos fan, I'm not a Broncos fan, but also a Patriots fan. It's cool to see one of our coaches going to be at the next level, staying in state, right? Like I'm happy. I think the Broncos got a good one. For those of you who tapped in and paid attention to the episode we did with Dukes last week, when I asked him, hey, like what outside of Coach Marion, like what coach are you most excited that they brought in? His first immediate answer was Coach Marv. There's definitely elements to it where you can cherry pick statistics in whatever way you want. Like numbers are numbers, but you can also pick certain statistics that make it look not that good. There's a lot that Coach Marv, like I'll share a couple of perspectives that I saw kind of floating around the Colorado atmosphere about Coach Marv. I mean, like the first thing that I want to touch on is, it's not great when you are getting this came in from Matt Smith, a new OC, a new DC, and then 3 of your first 4 games are on the road against P4 opponents. It's going to be tough. I'm not going to lie. Like the continuity component of it is a little bit difficult to come to terms with or say is like, oh, this is just going to be a cakewalk, right? Like it's not easy, especially after you just brought in an entire transfer portal class to say, hey guys, sorry, I'm leaving. And like, best of luck. Right. And like, here's your actual coach that you just met a couple of weeks ago. Right. Who hasn't been a defensive coordinator for 2 seasons, at least that I know of. I saw a lot of sentiment from Virginia Tech fans saying he's not that good of a coach. I didn't watch too much of Coach Marv when he was a defensive coordinator at Virginia Tech. I mean, I know Virginia Tech has been not great over the last couple of years. Now they're in their rebound era, but let me get some stats up here, right? So this comes in from Scott Proctor of DNVR. Great guy. So last season, as defensive coordinator, 2024 at Virginia Tech, 3rd in the ACC with 22.8 points allowed, 215 passing yards allowed, 5th in the ACC, 37 sacks, and 15 interceptions. So obviously he was brought in as a linebackers coach. Traditionally known, came up through the ranks in the linebacker room, but also has experience as a defensive coordinator. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Coach Livingston leaving at the end of February was like the plan, right? Like I'm not going to try and BS you guys into thinking that like this was all planned all along. I don't think they were blindsided. I mean, like when your coach starts to interview in the NFL, you're always going to be prepared for what's next. I do think that ultimately at the end of the day, it's not ideal, and it's not like Coach Prime was shooing Coach Livingston out the door by any means. That's not at all what I think this is. But having Coach Marv, somebody at least who has defensive coordinator experience and can kind of step into that role, albeit at whatever ability to coach he has, it's good to have somebody there that can at least understand the job and can step in on a moment's notice to say, like, here's what we should be doing, and I know how to call a defense. I do think with any of these, like us as a community looking at it and being like, oh, this is going to be terrible, or, oh, they're going to, this affects 2 to 3 wins next season, is like, let's pump the brakes, guys. Like, we got a lot to see. We don't know formations. We don't know schemes. We don't know how he is able to coach the linebacker position for this specific group of guys that was so, frankly, lost last year. Like there was just so much that was missing out of that position group that we had seen the year prior. Coach Livingston came from a safeties room or came from a safeties focused position where he had a lot of experience with coaching DBs. He had great relationships with, and this is where I'm going to get into my next screen share, with guys like Tawfiq Byard and Cameron Silman Craig, who expressed his displeasure with his broken heart emoji. I think it's partially just because he really loves Coach Livingston and wants to see him continue to be in Boulder and doing all the things around campus and having the ability to come back and say hello and all that stuff. I think that it's and you guys are welcome to tell me if I'm wrong here, right? Like you have a guy who's traditionally known for working with the secondary, trying to come in and also be a defensive coordinator for the defensive line and the linebackers room, as opposed to a guy like Marv, who has a lot of experience with that center of the defense, right? Like the guys that have the most important job, arguably on the defense, being that quarterback of the defensive room, and being able to then kind of pitch that defensive scheme to the defensive line, but also the secondary. So as opposed to coming from that defensive backs in the secondary and trying to kind of instill that philosophy down into the trenches, being more kind of in that mix where you have guys that both support the defensive line, but also drop back into coverage in the event that, there's a set that they need to be more coverage focused. The point I'm trying to get to here is it's very possible that Coach Marv is going to come in and have a more holistic view on how to coach all the positions that are inherently necessary and relevant to allow this defense to succeed. Does this mean that we're going to go 3-3-5? Does this mean they're going to go 3-4? I have no idea. And if you're looking for like here's what he used to do at Virginia Tech, those rosters are completely different, like 1,000% different. So I think it would be crazy to say that because he had coached a specific formation 2 years ago at a completely different university with different players, that automatically means he's going to pull that over to Boulder. I think he's going to take a look at what he has, and he's going to build it around those linebackers. Like I think the biggest thing that I think is going to come from this is it's going to be linebacker focused, it's going to be linebacker driven, and we have the guys on the team now like Gideon, like Leona, like Tyler Martinez, and some of the young guys to allow that Mike linebacker, the middle of the defense, to really be the communicator, that vocal presence that's driving the rest of the scheme. Whew. Let me get caught up on some comments because when I'm looking at the camera, I'm not nearly as locked in. New Breed said he is the guy. Dre says Coach Marv has some good seasons, but up and down. Yeah, I don't think this isn't like it is seldom to make a home run hire on a whim. Does that make sense? Like if this was something where this happened at the end of the season and we had the last 3 months to identify it and kind of like prepare for it a little bit more, then you got a bigger chance to say this is a home run hire. But at the same time, we're not sitting here going into spring ball without somebody who has defensive coordinator experience, right? Like we're not trying to promote somebody who has no experience in this role. We at least have somebody who understands it and can take it and really like get that opportunity. Like the other perspective of this is like, yeah, if any of y'all have ever been fired by at a job or let go at a job, I mean, if you do your job well, or if you like care about your career, typically like the next time you go in, you're hungry to like prove that that's not you. Like, I don't think Chris Marv wants to be known as a guy who was fired from Virginia Tech and, didn't have as great of a season as he may have wanted to. I'm hoping that he comes in and he looks at it. He says, this is my opportunity to really, again, prove myself as a defensive analyst, as a defensive coordinator, and really prove my value within the coaching ranks. So hopefully he comes in with a really hungry mindset and is able to lead this team. New Breed said this is a pickup. Cam says, I think Marv has the most talent on defense that he's ever worked with, as well as DC. Virginia Tech's not going for great defenses. Another great perspective. I think that this defense is going to be highly talented, and I think they're highly motivated as well to succeed, which is going to give him even more to work with. I'm going to take a quick drink of water. I've been yelling into this mic for the last 40 minutes. Happy Friday to you all. Let me know. This is my new question. I got to figure out what I'm going to eat for dinner tonight. Let me know what I should get if I got to get some takeout. So if you guys know a spot here in Denver, or you're just really passionate about a specific type of food, let me know what I should get for dinner. Okay. Let's see if there's any other comments to catch up on. They had 6 and 6 seasons and they went to the Military Bowl and lost. Practice starts on Monday, which is important. And then this one, right? So looking at and love to Coach Livingston. Great, again, players coach, great energy. He was not a perfect defensive coordinator by any means. I remember I was at this game too, and I was screaming from the mountaintops when I saw that coverage come out. And it was like that, like watching, why am I blanking on his name? The nickel, whatever. I'm blanking on who was in coverage on that play. Preston Hodge. Jeez, that's where I'm trying to get to. Preston Hodge. Watching Preston Hodge be like a whole foot behind him the entire time as he was running to the end zone was like the saddest thing in the world. And to this day, I never sat well with me on Coach Livingston on that. But I don't think that's like, it's not to say like that one call is indicative of his entire coaching career. Neither did last season. That wasn't indicative of his entire coaching career. He wasn't perfect by any means. And I think that a new opportunity at defensive coordinator and a new offensive coordinator, it's going to be good for the Buffs. We'll have a clean slate to go into this new season with a rebound. From New Breed, he will make the linebackers better, which will allow our defensive line to run crazy. Another great perspective. Exactly. Really pinpointing that middle of the defense as the integral part of what's going to allow the defensive unit to thrive. We still need a secondary coach. Since you're talking about chicken Alfredo, might as well get chicken Alfredo. Great point. Yeah, I got a good Italian place down the road. I'll get some chicken Alfredo. Hodge, yeah, I got there. And then there, some of the corners wasn't up playing man-to-man that much. Okay, cool. We're caught up. Let's look. Oh, let's keep talking about defense. I was like, I knew there was another big one on here that I had to get to. With much speculation, Warren Sapp is no longer with the program. Now, this is the one I'm going to be a little bit more less cordial about. I'm not upset about this one, to be honest with you. I was a fan of Warren Sapp as a player. I was not all that much of a fan of Warren Sapp when he was hired because of some of these stuff that has happened with him in his past. I want to say this, and I don't want it to come across the wrong way, but like, because our head coach is also a former player, but not every former player makes a good coach. Some do. I believe Deion Sanders, as a former player, makes a great coach. I don't know that Warren Sapp makes a great football coach. He's a really good personality. The name itself is really good at attracting players. Like, he got a 4-star Christian Hudson, who was nicknamed Baby Sapp, to come play for the Buffs. Like, that's a value add in and of itself. He wasn't a defensive line coach. He was a pass rush coordinator. I just think that I'm okay with that moving on. I think the whole NFL experience thing was a really good marketing tactic. Like, I think that the whole playing cards thing that they did as part of the offers was really cool. And I think pitching the most NFL coaching experience in college football was really great. But ultimately, at the end of the day, Sapp has a lot of baggage. Sapp has a lot going on in his personal life. When he was going to pageants, like beauty pageants and stuff like that during the offseason, when the entire defensive line room was leaving, I was like, I'm okay if we find a new defensive line coach. And this is like, again, he's not defensive line, defensive pass rush. A guy like Dante Carter lives, breathes, and dies by coaching. Like, he's a guy. He's a guy that players really love because he is always there in the building, grinding to make sure that he is the best coach possible. Warren Sapp has achieved the highest level of professional football. The coaching was just like a side fun gig. And it was something that I think needed to be reevaluated. Was the whole idea of, as Cam says, the whole NFL experience versus college experience. Dante Carter has college experience. Warren Sapp has NFL experience. He also had no coaching experience. So me personally, I'm okay with this. I wish him well. I try to wish everybody well. But ultimately, at the end of the day, as New Breed says, he was a part-time coach and he was happy about that. You all saw the stuff going on at the national championship. I'm not going to get into that stuff. That's beyond the same way I'm not going to get into his other things that he's been accused of in the past. I'm just saying, for the sake of the Colorado football program, I'm okay with separating there and just moving on from that. And again, this goes back to the big thing. I said it, like, I'm not sitting here trying to tell you that I'm all like heartbroken that Coach Sapp is leaving. At the same time, the whole idea that this is like a Coach Prime can't retain his staff And the way that this is, he's pursuing other opportunities. I believe that he's pursuing other opportunities, but that doesn't also mean that he was like, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to do this. It's like, I'm leaving because I don't believe in Coach Prime. This very well could be Coach Prime looking and saying, hey, hey, Warren, like, or Coach Sapp, maybe you should go look for other opportunities. Like, because he's pursuing other opportunities doesn't mean that it wasn't a mutually decided or potentially one-sided decision to say, hey, we want to get some other voices in here, and we want to teach a little bit more technique and less just having a name associated with our defensive line room. Sapp had no dreams of being a head coach or anything higher than he was. That's also true. Like, he was somebody that, he said it himself a couple of times. He was like, oh, I had to like convince myself to want to be coaching. Like, he was like, I was hesitant at first, and he had said a couple of times that he loved it. He said that he was really enjoying the process and everything. But like, again, I'll say it again. Dante Carter is somebody that lives, breathes, and dies by his craft in the coaching regimen. Warren Sapp was doing this kind of like a side quest. I'm not going to lie. Like, he was kind of like hey, why not? I'll go help out my old friend, Coach Prime. And I just think that finding somebody who like needs that next level, right? Like, this is, they can't lose their opportunity, right? Like, Warren Sapp could lose his opportunity, and that was okay. A guy like Dante Carter can't lose this opportunity. And that's the type of coaches that you want your building. The guys that are willing to sleep in the building because they need to make sure that their unit is the best possible unit. That's the guys you want. And so, best of luck to Coach Sapp. New Breed says he isn't pursuing other opportunities. That's where I'm like, the spin of, yeah, he's leaving Colorado to go find a different, transparently, and this is not me reporting anything, I wouldn't be surprised if Warren Sapp does not coach again in his career. I would not be surprised by that if he just was like, I'm hanging it up, I'm good, let's move on. Okay, cool. Let's talk about a cool little thread that I saw, and this is also one that is not definitive. This comes in from Keep It Real Buffs. We got some jersey numbers. We got some numbers. This is like fun. This is the part of the off season that's like entertaining, right? Like, this is what we do it for. This is why we pay attention to this stuff. We're starting off, and again, shout out Keep It Real Buffs. You can't see it up here in the top left, but this is who posted this and is doing all the digging. I'm really good at Twitter. I'm terrible at Instagram. I hate Instagram with a passion. So people who follow like players and their stories, I'm like, I'm gonna start paying somebody to be my Instagram sleuth. But DeAndre Moore gets number 3. Some people were prospecting that he might get 0. Coach Prime is not doing 0. I highly doubt. He's always said that, like, he doesn't think that you should ever want to be a 0. Like, you are better than 0. He fits well for 3. I think 3 is cool. I could see him being a 1. I could see him being a 3. I think 3 is right for DeAndre Moore. Christian Ward, freshman coming in, has got number 17. Also, like, I don't, maybe that was something that he wore in high school, but like, that just like fits to me. Both of these numbers fit perfectly fine. Christian Ward seems like a 17. I have heard that he's injured, but I've also heard that I've seen nothing that I've seen has indicated that he's anything but locked in. Braylon Edwards, 26, also fits. I think that works. He's a freshman. He's somebody who has to earn his number. And so 26, good starting point for a freshman. That makes sense. Like when you see things and you're like, that just makes sense. Braylon Edwards is 26, makes sense. Nathan Mitchell, number 4, also makes sense. That one hits well. I like Nathan Mitchell at 4. Vili Tafatafua, 45, also makes sense. I'm pretty sure that's what he was at San Jose State. These are all like ones that I'm like, I don't know about you guys. Last year, I had to check the roster like repeatedly 4 or 5 games into the season because I could not remember who was who and what numbers were what. So far, Dylan Manuel being number 99 makes sense to me. Like, I just, for some reason, it just clicks in my head that these guys are that are assigned to these numbers. Jason Stokes Jr., number 13. also kind of makes sense. It's kind of cool. He's technically not a freshman. He's played already. But Jason Stokes Jr. is going to be 13. Taj White 54. Also makes sense. Cam Perry, number 7. That's cool. I think Cam Perry in 7 is one of the best. I could have seen Cam Perry in 3. I could have seen Cam Perry. Trying to think in like what else I could see him in a 6, but I think Hakeem is still 6. Cam Perry in 7 makes sense. I think that's cool. That's all that is on here for right now. Which is, I think as they continue to come out, it'll just be like cool. We'll keep going with it. We'll keep figuring them out as we go. I also don't think these are set, right? Like I don't think that these are definitive, but spring ball is spring ball. You have to have a number to get on the field. So cool. I want to do a quick check in with some former buffs. This came in from, I think, Buff Boy. I got to delete some images. Okay, hold on. There we go. Delete one, and then we'll add another. This is going to be a little bit sad for some people, but I just wanted to show it. We got some former buffs at their new schools. You can kind of see up there Jordan Seaton in the purple and gold. This is gross. I'm not going to lie. It doesn't sit well with me. Omarion pushing plates in Arizona State. Lendon Merritt in Clemson. Tawfiq Byard in Texas A&M. Carter Stoudemire over at Arkansas. And then I think that is Draylon at Baylor. I can't really tell, but I hope they all do well. I always root for them to succeed. It's always so weird watching new guys in new uniforms that you like literally just were about to buy a jersey for. I think the one that hurts me the most is Omarion. Like, I don't know. I didn't expect to see him staying in conference, and I don't know. It just hurts my soul a little bit, but that's just me. All right. We've got 51 minutes in on this beautiful Friday. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate the recommendations on the food. Let me catch up on some comments, see where I missed here. We talked a little bit about Sapp. We talked a little bit about some numbers. Let me see. Moore is in a boot right now. I think he is hurt. I think he's still locked in. I know he's still locked in. I've heard only good things about his relationship. Cam Perry, 7 ball out number. Absolutely. 7 is legendary in Colorado in recent years, more on the defensive side of the ball. But I think Cam Perry in 7 is going to be pretty. Yeah, exactly. Going off in a 7 jersey, that's lit. It's going to be really, really sick. Seeing Cam Perry in a 7. I might be a jersey I might get. Hartford Prime to give number 1 to somebody. I know people were talking. I maybe Boo gets 1. You really got to earn the 1. I think he learned his lesson after the Cormani thing. Like, you can't like just give things to people and who haven't earned it. I do think there was a little bit of that in there. Boo gave me 1, but he looks good in 23. I agree. I need somebody to. I love. I always thought Carter looked way cooler in 23 than he played in 20. And it's not me trying to diss Carter, but like 23 is a cool defensive number for me, especially at safety. And so I'm hoping Boo like really balls out if he does come in 23, because Carter 23 would be sick. I want that jersey every day. Yes, Jordan Seaton leaving left more of a sour taste in CU fans. Yeah, we talked about that in depth. It was not an easy process for anyone to come to terms with how he left, but we're on to greener pastures. Prime loved Cormani. That's why he got 1. I agree. I also, again, he said that like you have to earn it, and from everything we heard, he was not earning it at that time. 6 could be cool for Boo. I agree. 1. 23. I'm trying to think what else could be a cool number. I'm trying to think about like what I would do in college football 26. But let's transition to college football 26, because I got a segment for you guys that I think is going to be pretty engaging and pretty exciting, and I want to talk about it I want to get a lot of engagement from you guys on this because this is something I got some questions for you, and I want to hear your guys' thoughts. Let's talk about transfers, right? So we did I have that whole video. If you haven't checked it out, I'm going to continue to plug it until the season starts. But I had that whole video that I did breaking down the transfer class, incoming, outgoing, stats, PFF, grades, rankings, whole 9 yards. One of the things I didn't touch on, but I saw an article, and I'm going to shout out Buffalo's Wire, I think, as part of can't remember what conglomerate they're a part of. It's like Buffalo's Wire. They posted it 3 days ago, which was just looking at college football 26, the overalls of the players from the transfer class. And they did in and out. Not everybody, I want to preface this by saying not everybody is in college football 26, either just because they don't have a ranking or their school is not a part of the P4. Let's talk about going out, right? So this is graphic I made. This is outgoing transfers on offense with college football 26 ratings. So first ones that jump off the bat, right? So Ryan Staub going out, he was a 77 overall. You have at running back, you had Simeon Price was an 80 overall. Again, and just take this all with a grain of salt. This is EA we're talking about and their rating system and just how little they actually dove into the players in this game. And like their talents and stuff was terrible. They do one on eligibles. I can't find that video. Oh, New Breed. It's on. If you go onto our YouTube page and you go to videos, and I think you filter it by popular, it's called Colorado Transfer Portal Class. Let me pull it up here. I'm going to show it to you so that you can actually see it. I'm going to end up clicking on my own video as I'm literally watching it. Anyway, it's on there. It's under college football, under videos. And then you go to, okay. So yeah, if you go to our page and then you go to popular, you'll see it up there. There's two of them, Colorado Transfer Portal Class, position group comparison defense, and then position group offense. It was posted a month ago. So go look for that one. Just filter the videos by popular. It'll be like the fourth or fifth one down. Anyway, staying on this, right? So this is people going out. We had Staub, Price, Hayden, Miller, both Millers, Terrell Timmons, Cam Michael, and Isaiah Harge. One in the 80s probably could have pushed Omari and Miller higher. If I'm EA, I'm like Ryan Staub is probably closer to like a 74. Simeon Price is probably like a 76. Dallin Hayden's probably a 78 to me. Omari and Miller is closer to a 90 if I'm being honest. Draylon Miller, based on his previous season, 78. Terrell Timmons, 73. Cam Michael, probably 75-ish. Isaiah Harge, probably 72. They're not too far off, but I would probably tweak them a little bit. And then the big dog, Jordan Seaton, 92. Probably by next year's game, he's probably going to be a 95, again, just because he's on LSU now. Carday Smith, 73, probably pretty accurate. Cooper Lovelace at a 77, even though he didn't play all season. I think he was closer to like a 70. And then Tyler Brown, 74, 75. Like, let me know if, like, am I wrong? Am I dead wrong on all of these? I feel like that's probably a more accurate kind of a baseline there. But if we look at, let's pull up the incoming on offense. Let's switch over to that now. So this is incoming, right? So Isaac Wilson, 73. I think 73 for Isaac Wilson's accurate. I would say Staub is probably closer to a 75, like I said. Richard Young is a 77. Damian Henderson and Jaquel Smith were not, because Sac State is not in the game. I would put Damian Henderson probably in the 76 to 78 range. Jaquel Smith, being a freshman, probably closer to like a 75, 72, probably somewhere in that range. But you can see, in terms of offense and the receivers that we brought in, like, look at that, right? So Danny Scudero, 88 overall, better than Omari and Miller in the game. DeAndre Moore, 87, better than Omari and Miller in the game. Cam Perry, 86, same as Omari and Miller. Ernest Campbell, not in the game. Probably 80, low 80s, maybe high 79s. Let me know if you disagree with me and I'm just dead wrong on this. Fisher Clemens, Northern Colorado, obviously not in the game. Not a whole lot of production, probably low mid 60s, 65-ish. I would expect. And again, this is like me kind of projecting what they would have been, but also maybe what they will be next year. Some of these guys will get a bump based on just where they go to for the next season. Bo Hughley, 81. I think outside of Seton, that would have been the highest rated offensive lineman for the Buffs. Ernest Campbell, high 80s. That is with speed alone. Interesting. Yeah. I mean, he'll definitely be a speedster. I don't know if we'll get like, I'm trying to remember who somebody on our team had a real, like Cam Michael had a 96 speed and he was a 73 overall. So, Bo Hughley, 81, Taj White, 75, Leon Bell, 75, Javen Richardson being 68 was really surprising. I think he's actually closer to like a mid high 70s, I would say, based on his numbers alone. And again, Cam, I know they don't mean much. This is EA we're talking about. I'm just doing this for fun because Manny's not here and I got things I got to talk about. So, and I want to give you guys like anything I can give you. But I mean, Bo Hughley, 81. I think he get a bump next season. Taj White probably gets a little bit of a bump. I think he's closer to a 78. Leon Bell maybe drops a little bit. Javen Richardson, 78. Let me hide the chat really quick so you guys can see that. Demetrius Hunter was a 75. I think that's probably pretty accurate. Sean Kinney coming in from Lafayette College, probably like a 68, maybe 70-ish. You know, I don't know that there's enough there to really like give him a solid rating. And then Jose Soto, 74, again, coming in from Sac State, like 74 through 76, maybe. Right in that Taj White range-ish, Leon Bell. Like, I think that would be fair for him. Let me know what you think. Of the guys, Damian Henderson, Jaquel Smith, Ernest Campbell, Fisher Clements, Kinney, and Soto, like where would they get rankings? Like, let me know in the comments where they would end up as. And again, this is from last season. We're not projecting for the year. I'm just, if they had a rating, where would they be? Okay. Let's switch gears to the other side of the ball. We have, let's talk about outgoing on defense. Same deal. Outgoing transfers on defense. Again, the first one you see in the top left corner is EA in a nutshell, with Jaheim Otis as an 86 overall. Based on stars, based on coming from the SEC. You lose him. Tavian Coleman was a 78. Gabriel Lightfoot was a 76. Tawfiq Thomas was a 74. Brandon Davis-Swain was a 71. Christian Hudson was a 69. On the defensive edge, you lose Sam Okunlola, who was an 83. London Merritt was only a 73, which is crazy. They don't do a great job, too, of I'll give 2K credit, like NBA 2K, like, because they do a good job of like throughout the season, they'll do up and down, like ratings boosts, ratings adjustments. EA doesn't do a really good job of this. So like London Merritt is way better than a 73 overall. And you can see like just below that, Nikhil Walker is a 72. Alex McPherson was a 70. So take this all with a grain of salt because EA does a terrible job with player evaluations. It's kind of just funny to see, you know, like the types of, whiffs that they get in this regard. Mantrez Walker was a 68. Sean Myers, 65. Honestly, I probably would have put Sean Myers a little bit higher. Obviously, Alex McPherson goes higher. Brandon Swain would have been higher. Otis comes down. Tavian Coleman and Gabriel Lightfoot, that's fine. Carter Stoutmeyer has this 83, probably closer to like a 78 for me personally. Byard, probably like 85, 88-ish range. Like I would push him up a little bit. Noah King, probably like 70. Like, I don't know how he was a freshman, so I don't know how he got graded so high. TJ Branch, 75, same deal. Fine. John Slaughter, 72. Fine. Like, I'm not going to fight you on the mid to low 70s on these. DJ McKinney, I'm hiding the chat again, as an 88. I mean, on talent alone, I don't think that's crazy. Tariqus Davis being an 82. There was reasons he didn't play. I hope he does well wherever he ended up. I can't remember off the top of my head. Tayon Parks at a 70. That's pretty accurate to me. But, you know, I think there's something to be said about Tyreke Davis being an 82. If you ever played college football 26, he was actually pretty good. Cool. Yeah. And when we do it, Trace, we're going through people talking about what they should have been, what they should and shouldn't have been. When the new game comes out, I'll do a full breakdown of the roster so you guys we can talk about it and just laugh at all the stupid stuff that EA misses on. There's like players on the team that they don't even have. I don't know if that's like the players don't want to be on there or if it's just like a lack of ability to actually get all the guys. Switching to incoming on the defense, right? So talking about defensive tackle, Santana Hopper is an 83 from last season. Christensen's an 82. Samu was a 76. Dylan Manuel was a 72. Cedric Smith was a 70. And Tyler Moore was a 64. Me personally, I think Hopper probably closer to like an 85. Christensen's probably closer to like an 88 in my personal opinion. Samu, it's fine. Dylan Manuel, maybe like a 75 to 78-ish. Cedric Smith, I would say same deal, like probably 75, 78. Tyler Moore, probably pretty accurate, 64 to 68. Villy, I would probably bump up 75, 78 range. Manny, like didn't have a whole lot of production at James Madison, but I could see him being like the low to mid 70s, maybe 72, 75. Yamil Talib, I could see being like 82 to 83-ish. Like I think he, again, North Dakota State, they'll be in the game next year, making the jump now. Very fun. Oh, sorry, not Yamil Talib, Toby Aneen. Yamil Talib, I would see probably like 64, right in that Tyler Moore range. Toby Aneen is where I'd probably have like 82, 83. Balansama Kamara, 74 to 76, maybe. Lamont Lester, just because of that lower level, probably comes in. Like, this is me personally, if I was developing the game, 75 to 76-ish. And then on the linebacker side, this is where we made the biggest improvement. Gideon Lamprin, 88 overall. Tyler Martinez, 85. And then Leona Lufau, 85. So 3 linebackers brought in, all above 85. Like, what a world of a difference that makes. On the safety side, we've got Rand Fontenette, 88, Boo Carter, 88, Nathan Mitchell, 79, Jaden Hardy, 76, Jaja Boyd, 68. All of those I'm fine with. Like, linebacker to safety, I'm good with all of those. I'd probably put Leona a little bit higher, maybe Tyler Martinez. Tyler Martinez being 85 is like really interesting. For those of you looking at the chat, yeah, Dennis, you're not going to get a rise out of us because you're the one who's sitting here on a Friday trying to talk about CU football. So thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you joining the show. Let's see if I can get down there. We've got Justin Eaglin at 80. I think that's pretty fair. Maybe 82. Emery Floyd, 79. Cree Thomas, 74. I would bump Cree Thomas a little bit. Emery Floyd, 78 seems accurate. And you can't see it at the bottom there because it covers using the little banner down there. But it's Jason Stokes is a 68. And then Paul Amodia is unknown because he was from Lamar. I could see Paul being 73 to 75. Jason Stokes being a freshman makes sense. I could see him being like 71 to 74. Yep, Aneen, like I think Aneen would be low 80s. I agree, like somewhere between 81 and 83 if it was me. Villy, bump him up a little bit. I think it's really exciting to see that linebacker and safety room like that. Like the fact that they were also validated as being ranked that high is really good. And those are true ball players. A little bit of a bump, I would say, in the defensive tackle room. I didn't put special teams, but who knows what Josh McCormick will end up being. It's a 99 kick power, I guess. Yeah, and that's that. We'll see how the game ultimately ends up coming out. I'm not sure if all these guys are going to be in the game. They get their papers signed and they get paid for it. As Andre says, make sure you hit the like button. We are at over an hour here on this beautiful Friday. Thank you guys for being here. Transparently, I just got off of a flight last night, and so I'm running on limited sleep and a lot of caffeine. So if I feel like I'm kind of rambling here, doing my best to make an engaging show for you guys. So if you want to hit the like button and support the work that we do here on this channel, it is much, much appreciated. And thank you to Andre for letting people know to hit that like button. Anene, yeah, Anene. I'm so bad with names. I'm like the worst at these things. So probably had Toby Anene. That's what I thought too, but I also thought I heard Anine. I also thought it was Bo Hughley, not Hughley. So don't come at me for these. I gotta have like a at the top, like apologies for any mispronunciations because I'm the worst. Okay. We're at over an hour now. Do you guys, I might save recruiting for next week, to allow Manny to kind of catch up. Transparently, there's a lot in recruiting. I can breeze through them if you guys want, or we can wait until next week. I want to give you guys the opportunity. Like, let's do a Q&A, right? I'll give you guys 20 minutes. Let's talk. What questions do you have? Let's talk Colorado football. Let's do open forum here. I'll put the chat back up. Let me know what questions you guys have. Want to get my takes on. Let's get some discourse here on this beautiful Friday. They have my whole name, Coach Dre. Sorry, I'm on too much caffeine. I'm just reading everything as quick as I can. Coach Dre, appreciate you. Thank you so much. Mark going against Marion in practice will be good. I agree with that. I think from what I had seen, like Coach Shermer and Coach Livingston, I don't know that they really like it kind of felt like two different rooms, right? Like it was like not like one team, it was like two rooms. It was Coach Shermer's offense and Coach Livingston's defense. I feel like they are going to do, Coach Marv and Coach Marion are going to do a really good job. Coach Marv having to get his defense ready for the go-go system is going to get them in really good shape, and it's going to get them constantly thinking in these ways that like you always have to be prepared for everything, right? Like you have to be constantly on your toes. You have to be, especially in the linebackers, going against a go-go system every single day in practice is going to make those already very good linebackers like hawks, right? Like always prepared for what's going on, and just kind of keeping an eye on keys that come and they're going to be dialed in from a film perspective. Iron sharpens iron. Exactly. That was actually that was one of my high school sports mottos. Iron sharpens iron. So I love that phrase. Is Goldberg any good? I'm assuming you're referring to Gage. Gage Goldberg kind of, and this is me, and I really don't ever want to be like mean to any of these kids because they're kids. Like I'm not trying to ever say anything negative about these guys at their core. I just think that, and this falls into some of the other things I've said about other guys, is like, if not now, then when? Gage Goldberg has been here 2 seasons and has yet to see the field. I don't know that he's going to make a lot of an impact in that linebacker room in particular. I don't know that if he was going to get an opportunity in the linebacker room, it would have been last year. And we didn't see that. So with the guys that we have in now, I don't see this being as Gage Goldberg's opportunity to get some run. I just want to stay healthy and throughout the spring practice. Yeah, we all hope that everybody stays healthy. I think one of the things that's going to be really interesting. So, and I'll give you guys my personal take and opinion on this. With the turf that was changed from the grass, I was actually really concerned about the amount of lower body injuries that we had last season. And I was kind of surprised that not more people like pointed to that. And they were like, hey, this is a little bit good. Because for those of you who didn't really pay attention, the turf that they used was like an experimental turf. They took in like pitches from community companies in Boulder. And the turf that they went with was like an experimental type of turf that was supposed to be like made out of a specific material. And I think it was like extra cushy or something. But like our depth was really hindered by the injuries last season. And so I will be really interested, for me personally, just being the nerd that I am, to see whether or not injuries are continuing to be a thing, especially in the lower body this season. And if we are still hindered by that, because there's going to be a couple of factors in that. It's either something going on with the field or it's something going on with the training. And I don't think it's Coach Swayze, considering that we have so much experience with Coach Swayze being an incredible conditioning mind. I don't think it's Coach Swayze that's failing to prepare these guys. I also don't think it's the the training staff, because the training staff is first class. They are great people. So I'm really curious to see if it regression to the mean, right? Like, do we have a season of lacking injuries, or if we have a lot, then I'm going to start to be the person that raises the red flag saying like, hey, there's something going on here. Okay. Cam says, yep, I've been saying this for a while. If the defense will play well, go against a go-go off in practice, they won't have as much issues stopping anybody in the Big 12 because nobody really wants to run that. They'll also be in really good shape because if you remember, the go-go is designed to give you a fifth quarter. So if they're constantly running up-tempo or just consistent movement and motion, fast offense, the defense is going to have to react really quickly. Their processing is going to be at an all-time high. Plus, the conditioning that they get from playing that every day in practice is going to be very crucial. So that's a great call out there from Cam. First 4 games, what will the record be? Yeah, it's a good question. I need to go back and re-review this. Colorado schedule, because to be honest with you, it's a Friday and I am forgetting things off the top of my head. All right, so we start off Georgia Tech, Weber State, Northwestern, and Baylor. At Georgia Tech, I'm not going to lie to you, is going to be tough. I do think without Haynes King being there, that's going to be a win. They are returning a lot of production on offense. They reloaded pretty well, so I think that I wouldn't be surprised if at Georgia Tech, first game of the season with new coordinators and an entirely new team is a loss. I'm going to be honest with you. I wouldn't be surprised. And that's not just me being pessimistic, just trying to be honest. Weber State, that's a win. If that's a loss, we should be very concerned. That's at home too. That is one of those games they pay you to come to town because they want that win. At Northwestern has put a lot into their football program. If you have been paying attention to it, I'm pretty sure Chip Kelly's at Northwestern now. They're throwing money into that program. They got a new stadium, which I think we're not playing at. We're playing at the old stadium. Hold on. But I think in an ideal scenario and in an expected scenario, if you think this team is going to be good, which I do think, I think that's a win. At Baylor, this is a toss-up because I don't really believe in DJ Lagway personally. But I also didn't believe in him at at Florida. And I don't think that he was really worth, I just feel like it was a bad pairing of situations with DJ Lagway in Florida. And now he goes to Baylor. He's got the dad legacy to live up to. He's also got new offensive weapons. They've got, I think they have a 5-star receiver that they had gotten in one of the previous classes. Now they've got Draylon over there. He's got Yakiri Walker blocking for him. Sorry, I had to throw that one in there. I think an ideal scenario, you're 3-1. I think a realistic scenario, you're 2-2. I think you could lose at Georgia Tech, and I think you could lose at Baylor. But if all goes well, if this team is as cohesive and the go-go works, you're 3-1. If it's perfect, you go 4-0, of course. But that Georgia Tech game feels a little bit like and the unfortunate thing is you don't have a whole lot of people. If a lot of last year's team was returning, then maybe you have that argument of they're really motivated and whatnot. But I could see it being, I think hopeful is 3-1, realistic is 2-2. Okay, cool. 4-0. A lot of people saying 4-0. Wow, we got some optimistics in the crowd on a Friday. Hope people are not don't get too ahead of yourselves. I'm trying to be realistic. I'm the biggest optimist in all of this, right? I'm the guy that's gonna be. I'll be in those stands and I'll be fighting people. I was at Utah, right? I'm the optimist. I'm just trying to be realistic. I think it could be 4-0. Everybody's saying 4-0. Wow, that's crazy. Their new RB1 is a monster. Absolutely. That's talking about Georgia Tech. Big 12 had a lot of movement this year with coaches. It doesn't look that bad. Remember, Coach Marf came from the ACC. We will not lose to Georgia Tech. You call it. You call it. That's fine. Georgia Tech lost their OC and DC. The guy that was supposed to play QB is now in Gainesville with me. Yeah, it's also a good perspective. I totally agree. They also got a Mendoza. Who knows? Alberto Mendoza could be the next great Mendoza. I'm not saying that he's going to be a Heisman candidate, but who knows? Maybe that lineage is really, maybe they're really like that. Maybe they just produce football talent. And I know they got some other guys too that they've been bringing us. I just think I just think Georgia Tech is tough is the point I'm trying to get to. I'm not trying to say that they're like world beaters, but I think they're tough. They're always going to be tough. Even if they lost their coordinators. Ideally, you're 3-1. Texas Tech and OSU will be the problem. 4-0. Wow, we got a lot of 4-0s. Georgia Tech game, I believe we can win. See, I also thought we were going to win the Georgia Tech game last year, and things fell off the rails so fast. So that's we beat ourselves against Georgia Tech last year. So if things go the way we hope they go, and everybody in the this is the picture I'll paint for you. The go-go is the perfect college system. It works. Juju is the Steve Nash of this all. DeKalen Taylor is your Leandro Barbosa. And DeAndre Moore is your Amari Stoudemire. You've got the pieces where you have the right offense. You got the 7 seconds or less offense. I'm using a basketball analogy here. You got the right team and the right offense. You can win 60 games. That's a basketball terminology. You got the go-go. You got Juju. You got the weapons. You got a good enough offensive line. It works. You could be 4-0 easily. I'm not going to put that past him. Alternatively, the other perspective is you've got a lot of offensive line that have to learn a complex blocking scheme. You've got a young quarterback that's learning a new system. You've got a lot of transfers that are coming in that are trying to figure out how to mesh well together. You've got a new coordinator, and you've got a tight end room that's been underdeveloped and a running back room that's been underutilized. Like that's the other side of this, which is you got to be realistic that there are going to be a lot of complications in it. But there is an optimistic path that leads you down the yellow brick road. So we'll see. We'll see. Who scores the first touchdown? Great question. Great question. I love this is the stuff I want to talk about on a Friday. I think I got 2 answers for you. And I think it's going to be, I'm just going to be very honest. I think that they're going to try and make a statement out of that first drive. Like that first drive at Georgia Tech, I think they're going to, I don't want to say they're going to they're going to like map out the plays too much, but like, I think they're either going to try and ram it down their throat through the running back. Sorry. They're going to try to like ram it straight down the middle and to prove that they are running the ball, or they're going to try and get Zach Atkins involved. They're going to be like one of these two things that's underdeveloped. They don't want to like come out with that first drive and be like, oh, Colorado of old, they're just throwing to their wide receivers on bubble screens. Like they're going to try and run it repeatedly, and they're going to try to get the tight ends involved, and they're going to go fast. So I could see Zach Atkins, I could see DeKalen Taylor, I could see Richard Young, like any of the running backs or Zach Atkins, I could see being the first guy to get a touchdown or the first touchdown of the season. Who knows? Maybe it's Juju pulls it on a read and just skirts on into the end zone like Peyton Manning did many years ago. Who knows? What's good, Northside? Good to see you. Happy Friday. No Manny today. Manny's dealing with stuff. You got just me. We're just doing a quick Q&A, just kind of getting thoughts, talking ball, talking about the upseason. I'm trying to get to the 1.5 hour mark. So I got a little more time with you guys. What other questions do you have? Throw stuff out there. Let's do a Q&A, get it out there. Could be Ernest Campbell deep. Yeah, that's the other part of this. This could be like, there's a realistic world where first drive coming in from the opposite 20, get like 3 runs, good chunk yards, really beat it, like really just hammer it on the ground. Defense starts to pinch in. Ernest Campbell goes deep, and it's a 72-yard touchdown on the first play or on the first drive. Like that's a possibility too. I just think that in one way or another, they're going to try and come out and prove that this is not the Colorado offense of old. And I think that's going to involve the tight ends, and it's going to involve the running game very heavily. So we'll see. Could be Danny S. We'll throw like a like an odds prediction at some point. I try not to gamble anymore. I try to stay away from that stuff, but we'll do like an odds prediction. Manny and I will come up with our odds and what we think it is. Could be Cam Perry in the air. There's so many weapons. I don't know. Could be any of them. What other questions? What did I miss? I like these questions. Keep them up, like Darren said. Who scores the first touchdown? Keep them up. I want to get more questions like that. Can somebody tell me what Smitty does? Wasn't Sweetwine picked in the draft before Juju? Yeah, he was. And I wouldn't read into that at all, to be honest with you. Like the way I see it, we talked about it a little bit on Friday. But there's two parts of that, right? Like it's everybody expects it to be Juju. It's supposed to be Juju. So one, like, why not throw a curveball out there? It's a spring ball draft. It's supposed to be fun. They're supposed to like just have fun with it. So yeah, you throw the kid who just signed a couple of weeks ago, you make him the first pick in the draft. Because part of that too is like, how do you think that made Keneal Sweetwine feel? Like that was like probably the coolest moment for him. Like coming into the team, he's a scared freshman, maybe not scared. He's like a new freshman, and he gets picked number 1 for the spring ball draft. Like it's just like fun. It's supposed to be fun. That probably made his day. Probably made his entire season. He probably won't see the field very much this year, if at all. So like getting to be the number 1 pick in the spring ball draft, like that's just like cool. That shows that the leadership on this team cares about the personalities of the people who may not get the opportunities on the field, which I think is great. Who will lead the team in picks? Ooh, that's a great question. Yes, I love this. Thank you. Who's going to lead the team in picks? So many names. Like, I guess it's a really good question. I think you could make an argument for Nate Mitchell. I think you could make an argument for Rando. I think you could make an argument for Cree Thomas. I think Justin Eaglin might be my pick. Trying to think. There could, like, I think the secondary in the cornerbacks in particular, there's so much youth that you don't know who's going to make that, giant next leap into being like the guy like that. There's not like a definitive CB1 right now. There's a lot of guys who I think Justin Eaglin is your closest to being a CB1. That's why I probably would go with him. But Cree Thomas was like a highly rated 4-star coming out of Notre Dame. Like he could come in and get regular minutes and just be an absolute monster. I think I have a theory that like my like you remember it was like don't throw at Travis, right? Like they like tried to avoid throwing at Travis as much as possible. I feel like they're going to try and avoid testing the safeties like Rando, Nathan Mitchell, like Boo. I think they're going to try to avoid that. I think ultimately you probably make a case. I think it's Justin Eaglin. That's just going to be my take. But it also depends on the scheme. If they're running 3-3-5 or they're running 4-3, like it could be 3-4. I like, who knows? But it's a really good question. It's a really good question. Could be Jaja Boyd for all we know. He could be that guy that came from Indiana and just ends up being an absolute monster. What do you guys think? Cree Thomas, maybe Stokes Jr. could be a guy coming out of Utah. These are all guys that have some small development coming on from bigger programs. So like they, with a new opportunity, it could be Emory Floyd. Emory Floyd also played very well at App State. Could be Emory Floyd. I'm going to stamp Justin Eaglin just because I think those James Madison corners tend to be pretty nasty. But it could be any of them. We're going to yet to see. Just know that don't trust everything you see in spring ball, because if you remember, like I would have thought that Tyrekus Davis would have led the team in picks last year based on the way he was playing in fall camp. So like, don't take a look at spring ball and be like, yeah, that's the guy, like there's going to be a lot that goes into this stuff. Dre's saying they've been saying Juju getting the ball out quick back on offense. Yeah, like this is that's the thing I think people overestimated about the go-go in this offense, and with Juju in particular, is like it doesn't require a Keaton Salter to be like a dual threat running quarterback. It requires going back to my basketball analogy, Steve Nash. Like it requires a quick thinking point guard. It requires a guy that can shoot threes and get off the dribble and get into the lane. Like you got to have somebody who's very versatile and can, like a game manager, a really good game manager. And so Juju, I think, is really good at making quick reads. And I think once he understands the offense and he understands what he's seeing on defense at a college level, which he now has dipped his toe into, I think Juju is just going to be like really quick with it and making great reads. all around. Oh, great call. Oh, Coach Trey, RJ Johnson. Don't forget RJ Johnson. RJ Johnson was hurt majority of last season, but I think he could step up really big on that cornerback room. Great call. It could definitely be RJ Johnson. He's coming back for another year. What's remaining of that trio of the guys that it was like Zach Owens, RJ Johnson, and Peyton Curley. It was like those three guys who all knew each other growing up, sticking around, staying here, coming back from injury. Could be Makari Vickers, I guess. We don't know. This cornerback room is like, I would argue, probably the most up in the air position group, at least on defense right now. What other questions? I'm looking through the chat here to see if I missed any. We got the picks one. We're at the 130 mark. I'm going to throw out, just because it's a good question. Oh, Matt, how many passing touchdowns for Juju? Good one. Let's see. Let me cross-reference this with I want to see what I can't remember how many Shedeur had in his final season. Does anybody know off the top of their head? Shedeur's final season was like 44, I think, maybe. It's going to not show me. It's going to show me only his off the top of my head. I can't remember what it was, and I don't want to throw out a wrong number here. I can see Juju. I think, again, the go-go is run heavy. This is not going to be a Shedeur 2024. I want to see what his numbers were, just so I can give myself a baseline here. But I don't think this is going to be a Shedeur type of 37 passing touchdowns. That's what it was. It's not going to be that. It's not going to be 37. I mean, that was even with them having a struggling season. I could see Juju like 32, 28 to 32. I think you're going to get a lot more running touchdowns this year. I think that's at the high end, like 28 to 25, 28 to 32 on the high end. Low end, like 18 to 21. Like, again, I think that there's going to be a lot more emphasis on the run, and they're going to get a lot more rushing touchdowns than they have in years past. So don't be surprised if Juju doesn't get as many passing touchdowns as people think. But at the same time, like, it could be a lot of concepts that are going to allow him to get deep balls. So if it clicks, I think he's in the 32 range. If it doesn't, or if it's more run heavy than we anticipate, probably closer to like 18. So like 18 to 32 would be probably my range. I know that's really big. Dre says 25 for Juju. Newbury says 44. You think that Juju is going to have more passing touchdowns than Shedeur had in his? He's have 7 more passing touchdowns than Shedeur did in his senior season. If that's the case, I'm not going to fret with it. Chris Dre says between 15 and 25 touchdowns. And then we got Troy. I'm hoping that's Troy. Gets 30 touchdowns. Okay. I'm going to wrap here. Thank you guys. I want to say thank you so much. It is so hard trying to navigate all of this without a co-host. And I don't envy Manny for having to do this by himself for like 8 months prior to me joining the show. Thank you guys for being here. This chat was awesome. I appreciate you guys so much for engaging. I'll throw out the last one for sacks. I'm taking Toby. I think Toby's a monster, and I think Toby's going to get a lot of high-level draft picks or draft buzz. I think Toby's your guy in terms of sacks. But I'm going to leave you there. I'm going to say thank you. One last time, hit like if you haven't already, please. It really helps the show. It helps us be able to continue to, tell our bosses that we are worthwhile of keeping this thing going. So I do my best for y'all, and I appreciate you guys being here on this Friday. I'm going to get my my chicken parm. Appreciate you, Coach Dre. And as Manny always makes sure that I do say, School Bus, baby. Hit that like button. Hit the subscribe. Happy Friday. Appreciate you guys. Bye-bye. I'm going to take that intro. All right, there we go.